Well, hello, hello. Welcome back. It is Wednesday, January 29th, and the Bank of Canada has just made another announcement. So, Josh is going to join us. He's going to talk to us about what they've said, what we can expect maybe going forward. As you can tell, Josh, you're pretty happy about the three-game winning streak that the Oilers are currently on.
Yeah, Oilers are doing great. Hopefully, we have a similar thing to last year, except maybe finishing out a little stronger than we did in the
Yeah,
last season, right? That would
yeah.
be great. Go Oilers. You know what? Yes, today the Bank of Canada announced a 0.25% rate drop, and that impacts the what's called the overnight rate. That's where the prime rate happens, and that directly impacts variable rate mortgages. So if you have a variable rate mortgage, for every $100,000 that you are owing on that mortgage, assuming 25 years on your amortization, you're going to see a payment drop of about $14 per month. And so for a typical $400,000 mortgage, that's almost a $60 monthly drop. And that combined with the previous drops of the previous several months, we've now seen variable rate mortgage costs come down quite a bit since the first drop in June last year.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, Josh. That's going to really help some of our variable rate mortgage holders with a little bit of relief here. And this is just kind of like a little bit more help for them in the month to come. Hey,
Yeah.
you guys, if you like this content, please like, subscribe, hit the bell. We're going to try and bring a lot more of this to you again this year, and hopefully you find it helpful. And it really helps our channel grow. So, yeah. Anyway, Josh, what do we got next?
Well, the rate drop today was made possible because inflation has been stable. It's actually been coming down a little bit. It hit in September all the way down to 1.6%, bounced back up to that 2% in October, and has been gradually dipping. We are expecting a slight uptick when the GST vacation ends here shortly, but we are under that 2% target right now, and 2% is the target. The bank has said that lowering interest rates, we're down now a full 2% from where we were. So lowering this has already helped boost household spending. And in today's economic outlook that they published, they say that the economy is expected to strengthen gradually, but with inflation staying close to target as long as a tariff war doesn't happen. If broad-based and significant tariffs are imposed, the resilience of our economy will be tested, and that's the big unknown here. So we're going to talk a bit about that, and we're going to talk about the impact that might have on your fixed interest rates, right? Today's announcement impacts the variable rates. We've already seen fixed rates come down, and we're not really looking, or I should say we'd love for it, but we're not really expecting the fixed interest rates to come down much more than where they already are at. And it really comes down to this thing called Trumpflation, right? There's a new president in the United States. We know that there's been inflation for the last several years. We know that he often largely won the election based on the idea of bringing down inflation, but actually a close look at much of his policies, what he's already doing, a lot of that is actually going to cause inflation. And a big one is the tariffs, right? We know that tariffs is a tax or a duty that's paid on goods when they're imported into the country. And of course, you could charge one on the export, but that's not what's applicable here. So it's American companies paying the US government. If it's a 25% tariff on Canadian goods, the US companies will have to pay a 25% tax to the US government on anything that they import from Canada, whether it be steel, lumber, vehicles, or oil and gas. We'll have to see what it is, but that will make things that are imported into the country more expensive. That causes inflation, and that impacts the US bond yields. Big word for saying the underlying thing behind U.S. interest rates. So what we're seeing here is that with the tariff tax coming on board, likely that's going to cause more inflation in the United States. Deporting low-wage workers in the United States, that's going to create a vacuum of workers that will be very difficult to fill with U.S. laborers. The U.S. unemployment rate is already incredibly low, and then with more spending and then not even collecting taxes on tips, leaving more money in the economy for more spending. That's more inflation. And we've seen over the last 4 months in the US, with the impact on the bond rates, we've seen their mortgage interest rates raise a full percent since September, right? In the last 4 months, it's been a pretty dramatic increase. The truth is, we don't know what's going to happen. right? The threat of a tariff, Jay, is there. It might happen as early as this weekend on February 1st. It might be 25% across everything, like he said it would be, or it might be different. It might just be a negotiating tactic. It might have oil and gas carved out. We just don't know. So there's an outlook based on no tariffs, and depending on how big the tariffs are will impact our economic growth, how long any tariff war lasts. If Canada retaliates with more tariffs, that might actually cause a raise in the Bank of Canada's rate here domestically. A lot of unknown, a lot of uncertainty. But what we do know is that as of right now, interest rates have come down a little bit. We've also seen fixed interest rates stable over the last bit, a little bit of upward pressure, and hopefully that will stick. And, we're going to monitor it over the coming weeks. The Bank of Canada is going to monitor it. And the next time they're going to bring us an announcement is going to be in 6 weeks on the 12th of March. So that's what's happened today.
Wow, so that's a lot to digest. So basically, we're
It's a
going to keep our
lot.
eyes on our friends down south. We'll see what happens. What's his policies going to do to that country? Help or hinder? Time will tell. But for now, let's keep our eyes on March 12th. That's when the next announcement comes. As for us, we're going to keep creating these videos. We're going to give you some content to digest next week. So yeah, stay tuned. Next week, we'll have another one for you. Thank you so much for joining us today. We look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you, everybody.